Yo. What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? Bro, I ain't gonna lie. I ain't had my webcam in a good little minute, bro. Doggone, it's just stopped working out of nowhere, bro. I don't even know what happened. But we gonna check this out. You know what I'm saying? We gonna see what it's talking about. Remember last time we reacted to the diddler? I felt like he did it. He's guilty. Now I talked to some people, and from what I heard, doing the freak offs actually isn't illegal. You know what I'm saying? It's unethical, but it ain't illegal. So we gonna see. We gonna see what the new updates and stuff they talking about. But yeah, I still feel like he's guilty of something. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I do believe he did the freak off stuff, but if that ain't illegal, then they gonna have to try harder to get something on him, cause they ain't gonna get him off that. Bro, hold up, bro. Hold up. Am I turning it the right way? All right. This is better. All right.
The prosecution in the Sean Diddy Combs trial is wrapping up their case with more freak-off videos. Prosecutors are showing the jury those videos along with travel records, hotel invoices, and money transfers. They're trying to show the sexual acts in the videos are the result of a coordinated criminal activity by Combs and multiple people who worked for him. Combs has pleaded not guilty to all charges. ABC's Rena Roy and legal contributor Shauna Lloyd are outside that courthouse in New York with the latest. So, Rena, what's happening with these videos and these various documents the prosecution's trying to show now?
Yeah, well, Diane, I can tell you that the jury seems a bit tired. They seem a bit tuned out today. As you pointed out, they are seeing this mountain of evidence from this Homeland Security agent who is back on the stand today. So far, they have seen hotel and travel records. They've seen money transfers. They are now seeing text messages as well between Combs and his ex-girlfriend, known as Jane, as well as his former chief of staff, Christina Quorum, whose name has come up, as we know at this point, multiple times in this trial. Now, as you said, they have also really been focused on showing the jury today videos of those drug-fueled sex performances. At one point, they watched more than 40 minutes of that footage, and they seem checked.
Bro, what is this? This look like freaking sand or cinnamon. One or the other.
Out during that as well, pretty serious and pretty stoic. Now, federal prosecutors pointed out that they have identified more than 40 sexual performances that took place from 2021 to 2024, but with Combs and male escorts and his ex-girlfriends, including Jane. They were known as freak-offs, hotel nights, or wild king nights. And there was one including just weeks before Combs's arrest there. So federal prosecutors are trying to use this evidence to prove to the jury that Combs used the help of his associates to traffic Jane. Diane.
Shauna, the prosecution's expected to rest tomorrow. Do you think they've done enough up until this point to prove the sex trafficking and racketeering charges?
Diane, I don't think they've done enough to prove it without a reasonable doubt. I think that there are a number of areas within the RICO charge showing that conspiracy with the others. I think also the idea that the willingness on the part of Jane is also within question. So there are definitely some elements that leave room for reasonable doubt.
Shauna, the defense says it won't call any witnesses. Do you think that means that they see the government case as weak, or that they're not confident in the witnesses they were planning?
That is a good question. Like, if I know I ain't did it, right? If I know 100% full on that I'm innocent, I'm calling as much witnesses and as much defense as I possibly can, bro. You know what I'm saying? So that do kind of make him look a little guilty, because it's like, if you know you innocent, why you don't want to call no witnesses? You know what I'm saying? Because I'm pretty sure, from keeping up with it, I'm pretty sure last time they said that the witnesses that the other people brought to the stand testified against him, like his manager and the girlfriend, and then Kid Cudi, I'm pretty sure. So I don't know.
Well, remember, Diane, that it is the federal prosecution's burden. They must prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. So you, as a defense member, when you feel as though they have not done that, you are better off allowing very minimal witnesses and culling back your witness list to ensure that you don't add anything to the case that you don't want there. So I think that they feel as though there's enough room for reasonable doubt, therefore there's no need to put on a significant amount of witnesses.
Rena, what are you watching for next?
Well, Diane, the prosecution is expected to rest as early as tomorrow, as soon as this Homeland Security agent is off the stand. From there, because as we know, the defense is not calling any witnesses, but they will be admitting some evidence into the record. We don't know exactly how long that will take, but we are expecting closing arguments to potentially begin as early as Thursday. From there, the jury will get instructions and start deliberations, Diane.
All right, Rena Roy, Shauna Lloyd, thank you both.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. I don't know, bro. I don't know. It's a whole lot going on. They got a whole TV show about this man. I don't know. It's just like, bro. Cause they did just ask a good question. If you know you innocent, if you know that you ain't did nothing, then why you ain't calling those witnesses? But then the other lady was like, oh well, if that could mean that, you know what I'm saying, they just feel like they case weak, so they don't want to do it. I don't know. I mean, I see both sides of it, but I don't know. It's still a little. Hold on. Let's see if we can find some more stuff. Hold on, cause I don't know. Like, I know if it was me, I'd call as much witnesses as I can. Cause it's like, wow. Hold on, wait. What's up with my? Hold on 1 second. Hold up 1 second. But yeah, I know if it was me, I'd be trying to show as much, you know what I'm saying, evidence that I'm not guilty as possible. Hold on, this is lawyer right here. Oh man. Hold up. Bear with me, bro. Oh. Kid cutty car and all type of stuff.
Even after the fact, when she would come to initially pay me when the situation was over, everything seemed like she was in a good-natured, good headspace. And I didn't get any cues that there was possibly distress or some type of thing she was going through that might have been a negative experience. I honestly, in the moment, it just felt like this was a couple that were trying to explore certain kinks and fetishes. And I was just somebody there to try to provide the fantasy or help them create the fantasy.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Julia Janae. Thank you for following along with us. That was the so-called Punisher escort who took the stand in this case. He was speaking with our own Vinny Politan last night about his experience participating in what has been called in this trial.
Hold on 1 second. This is a grown man referring to himself. Well, he probably didn't refer to himself as that. But this is a grown man being called the Punisher, bro. There's only one profession he could be in. There's only one. And I feel like we all know what that is, but we don't gotta comment on that right now. We don't gotta comment on that.
Freak-offs, hotel freak-offs with Sean Diddy Combs and his then girlfriend Cassie Ventura. And from the sounds of it, Ventura was coherent and a willing participant, a stark contrast to the government's theory that Combs used. And there's an allegation that there were drugs and violence used to support this sexual encounter. We didn't hear that from that particular witness, but let's talk about what we are hearing right now, because the defense is giving their closing argument inside of that federal courthouse. There are no cameras, but we are getting notes as far as what is happening inside. And to discuss what we are hearing, let's bring in our guest who is watching along with us. National Trial Attorney Michael Jaffer is here. Michael, thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to list a couple of things that we're hearing about inside of the courtroom, because it's Mark Agnifilo who is delivering these remarks. And he's telling this jury that this was the prosecution's attempt to criminalize kinky sexual preferences and drug use, that the bedroom, the intimate part of this defendant's life, is what is being criminalized here, that it's not racketeering. He says witnesses have been taking the stand and none of them have said, yes, I am part of a racketeering enterprise. He talks about this being a lifestyle, swingers, threesomes, but essentially it's being described as him mocking the government for an exaggerated.
Who actually in a gang like would admit that they're in a gang if, like, well, I guess it's kind of hypocritical for me to say because my glorious King Gunna did just that, but I don't care. It's different. But as far as this would go, who would actually want to like admit that? You know what I'm saying? Like, why would they admit that?
Trial. How do you think that is likely going over with these jurors?
I mean, that's a defense they have to take, but I'm baffled as to why they didn't bring any witnesses, or at least Sean Combs, to the stand to say that, right? Because here's the thing. I said in the middle of this trial that whenever you are going to try a case, if you perceive there to be a weakness in your case, you lean hard into the strength of your case. So I say that for the government, because the government knew before the trial started that they knew that the weakness in their case was the word coercion, right? How are they going to get the jury to believe that Sean Combs coerced these people, committed had a criminal sexual enterprise, and racketeered his way to the top, right? How are they going to do that? They leaned hard into the strong side of their case, which is the grossness and the sheer depravity of his conduct. They put on witness after witness, weeks of witnesses who just showed you that Sean Combs had a depraved lifestyle. They did that because they were hoping it would distract the jury when they went to the jury deliberation room on the word coercion. They wanted them to get to the word coercion by looking at the sheer grossness of his conduct and say no rational person would ever believe they were stepping into that situation. When they stepped into a relationship with Sean Combs, they never thought that he would use money as a hook for them to be part of this, and then he controlled them. So I think it's going good, Julia. It just baffles me that these very competent, capable attorneys didn't put on any witnesses. I mean, Sean Combs is a trained actor. He's acted in plays. He knows how to cry on cue, how to emote on cue. He knows how to do things that I can't do, most people can't do. So he would have been a perfect witness to carry that flag before the closing argument, because that would have been the last thing the jury heard before they heard closing arguments. We would have seen Sean Combs on the stand cry, beg, plead. I love these people. I would have never done that, because the way they're explaining it, it's rational in a vacuum, but the jury are not going to deliberate in a vacuum. They just saw weeks of really disgusting, grotesque evidence put on by the federal government. So we'll see what happens.
Interesting opinion that you think he should have taken the stand in his own defense.
It might have been nasty. It might have been like gross or whatever, but it's not illegal. It's just weird. It's weird, but it's not illegal unless he forced them to do it. But they said that they willingly participated. So I don't know.
Let's actually stand by, Michael. We understand that we have Court TV legal correspondent Kelly Craft. She just made it out of the courthouse and is live there on the ground in New York. Final day of closing arguments. The defense is up. Kelly Craft, what can you tell us?
Well, good afternoon to you, Julia. So, yes, I just made my way outside the federal courthouse because listening to the closing arguments by defense counsel obviously is always riveting. The closing arguments are so critical to cases, especially a case like this, where you have to have both sides really weaving together a story, a narrative as to how they want the jurors to look at the evidence. So, of course, yesterday we heard from the federal prosecutors. Today, defense counsel got underway just about 9 o'clock this morning. He is still going. There was a short break earlier, and we're hearing that the lunch break might happen in about 10 to 15 minutes. But when I just made my way outside of the federal courthouse, what Mark Agnifilo was talking about was that situation where Cassie Ventura had testified on the stand that Sean Diddy Combs had raped her. And really what Mark is doing is he's kind of brushing away all of...
Whoa. Whoa. Now they bringing in new charges, cause the charges they got him in there for ain't that. It ain't that. They got him on RICO charges. So if you add that in, if she telling the truth, he's cooked. Cause how you gonna battle RICO charges and those type of charges, bro? Hey man, bro. See, this is what happens, bro. When you get money, bro, don't just go out and try to get the baddest one, bro. Don't try to go out and show your money off, bro. Just get somebody that love you, respect you, bro. Because stuff like this gonna end up happening, bro. This man, I don't know if he did it or not. Due to what I've been learning and seeing, bro, he is a weird individual. So I don't rule it out, but bro, it's just insane, bro. Like, no way, bro. He what that one lady said, double homicide.
Of these allegations, saying that, okay, really what happened here is Cassie was with her then boyfriend, who she's now married to, and he saw a text. So all of a sudden her story was going sideways. So she needed to come up with a reason as to why she was with Sean Diddy Combs. So she claimed that he raped her. This is, of course, defense counsel saying this in his closing argument right now.
So they saying okay. So they saying she made this up to make sense as to why she was with him. So then she said that he did that to her, and that forced her to stay with him because you know how the victim mentality it's hard to leave. Whatever. So they saying she lying. Somebody lying. Somebody lying.
What he was doing is bringing up some evidence of a text that the prosecutors used yesterday from Sean Diddy Combs, which was in August, in which the prosecutors were saying this is a confession of that rape. And Mark Agnifilo brought that text up and said, nowhere in here could anyone indicate that this would be a confession to a rape of any sort from any sort of the imagination. What it is him just saying, I wasn't able to turn you on, etc. He said, how could anyone get in there, get from that was a confession of a rape? So basically what he's doing, Julia, so far to the jurors is just trying to tear apart the credibility of Cassie Ventura and their relationship.
Oh, Kelly.
All right. So here it is, right? Here it is. She's saying that he did that. I ain't gonna say it because you know YouTube they be strict with it, so I don't even want to chance it. I don't even want to give him the chance. But she's saying that he did that to her. His lawyer's saying, well, that can't be true because of this, because of that. And then she said, oh, well, he sent a voice message basically admitting it. And then he was like, oh, he just said, like, oh, I couldn't turn you on. I couldn't, you know what I'm saying, hit you in the right spot. You know what I'm saying? Like things of that nature. And this is just like, I don't know, somebody lying. But I don't get like why people would like, isn't that illegal? Like you saying that he did that, and then if it come out that he didn't do it, isn't that illegal? You could like, I don't get why people do that. I do not get why people do that at all. It makes no sense.
You are taking us there, even though we don't have cameras. I'm so thankful that we have you to describe what's going on in there. Can you talk about what has been said that may be considered mocking or belittling of not only the government's case, but the agents who went in and did this raid? We've been hearing some reports that Mark Agnifilo has been doing that in a pretty strategic way.
As I went through my timeline, I realized that, I was sexualized, I think 5 years old. And I started to experiment with my friends sexually, guys and girls.
What's up with YouTube and personalized ads? All of a sudden we hear this about Diddy, and I've never seen an ad like that in my life. And all of a sudden we get on Diddy videos and I'm looking at SA ads.
He really has, Julie. And I know we made some full screens we can put up for people because, again, federal court, so no cameras inside the courtroom. But he's really just...
Let's read this. Attorney Mark Agnifilo accused prosecutors of using the racketeering count to criminalize Combs's kinky sexual preferences and drug use. Agnifilo said the jury heard two trials, one as told by the evidence about a lifestyle of swingers and threesomes, and the other than exaggerated trial as told by the government. So basically he's saying that they basically dragging it, like, yeah, he weird, but it ain't as bad as they making it seem type deal. Okay.
Phrasing this and putting this as not even really acknowledging a lot of the charges, just telling his own narrative, just brushing away those allegations. So he accused the prosecutors of using the racketeering count to criminalize Combs' kinky sexual preferences as well as drug use. Agnifilo said the jury heard two trials, one as told by the evidence about a lifestyle of swingers and threesomes, and the other an exaggerated trial as told by the government. And they said this right in the beginning, Julia. There is no charge here of domestic violence. Even Mark was just saying it.
Let's see what this is. Described Combs as a pioneering self-made black entrepreneur who championed diversity, equity, and inclusion. Oh, they're talking about DEI, bro. Employees loved him, even the ones who are suing him. Well, yeah, they probably stopped once the money stopped. Did they always like him? No way, but they loved him. They didn't want to leave him, but they ended up having to once the money stopped. That's probably the ultimate thing. The money stopped coming through, so things became an issue. That's probably what it was. That's probably what it was.
As I walked out of the courtroom, no charge of rape. But look at these other charges that they're bringing forth. He also described Combs as a pioneering self-made black entrepreneur who championed diversity, equity, as well as inclusion. He said the employees loved him, even the ones who are suing him. And Julia, we heard that repeatedly on the stand throughout this case. Did they always like him? Mark Agnifilo said to the jury. No, but they loved him. They didn't want to leave him. And of course, Julia, that's one of the things the defense counsel is really hammering on with the jurors, because we saw time after time each witness that got up there talking about how they really loved him. They admired Sean Diddy Combs, even the women who are accusing him of the extreme violence, talking about still being in love with him, loving him. So that's what the defense counsel is using.
Oh, yeah, Kelly, I'll never forget you're telling us about Jane hugging both sides and still living in a house that is paid for by the defendant. Thank you so much for that update. I know you've got to get back in to listen to more of those closings. We'll check in with you later on in the day. And also keep in mind, everyone, 7 p.m. Eastern today, Julie Grant and Kelly Craft, they're both going to be hosting a special hour recapping the sex trafficking trial and everything that you missed today from inside of that federal courthouse as the jury moves closer to getting the case. So you don't want to miss that. 7 p.m. Eastern, a special hour here at Court TV.
It's very important for me to make.
Hey, man, I'm not gonna lie, bro. Diddy, bro, he did something. I don't know what he did, but he did something. And I do feel like, you know, with the freak off stuff, you know what I'm saying? He did do that. I 1,000% believe that. But that other stuff, I feel like they are dragging it. Like, they basically like a I don't know what to compare it to, bro. But still, I feel like they dragging it. Like, it's not as bad as they're making it seem, but I don't know.